Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
Alright. Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
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 What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
noo lañ def ñoo ñëw ak yéen rek skincare plus nara jàkkaarloo ak yéen waxtaan ak yéen tuuti rek si suñu tube suñu baax emuñ rek ci ay diw waaye comme ni ngeen ko xamee rek dañoo yëngu ci ay tube te yënguwuñ nag si just any tube suñ tube bu nekk 5-star Jesna la 5-star Jesna mooy Jesna bi gën a pire moom la ñoo tube palmaan bi gën a fort moom la ñoo liggéeyee buñ demee Bamako ñun duñ dem ci marché bi rek buub indi déedéet dañ leen a jox suñu specs ne lañ nii lañ ko buggee nane lañ ko buggee fóot bi nangami fóot lañ bugga pour mu mun a set waaw cuubi skincare déedéet doo ko sol mu di la taxa all over the place ci gàttal ñun rek si cuub dara du doy day des not only dañoo cuub but bu la neexee ñu cuubal la ba pare nag ñawal la ñaw fi mu gën a setee nag rek la ñoo fëlee ñetti ñawkat lañ am nañ ñawkati simple nga xam ne xoppati rek mbaa def sa taille basse def sa dagit def sa roba amul benn dawme am nañ koo xam ne moo ñoo dawme jigéen den am nañ tamit special ñawkat boo xam ne ñawi góor rek la ñoo defal nga bugg sa his and hers muy korité muy tobaski mbaa muy ngénte muy takka mbaa nga bugg rek def sa yëkka bu baax a baax daagul ba ñëw skincare plus ñu dimbali la tànnal la cuub fam gën a baaxee ndax sa yëkka gën a foor lii nga ne lan xoolal bi takka la skincare fii la fu léegi yéen tey we're not all about skin we are skin care and the plus does come in so many different ways. Cubantu wuñ de dañ cub bam saf-saf.
Hello and welcome to the brunch on Kerfatu. I'm Lamin Cham presenting, accompanied of course by my usual partners in crime, Mustafa Dabo of Kerfatu, also the Vice President of the Gambia Press Union. Always wants people to be reminded of that. Nyuma Kamara is a lecturer at the University of the Gambia. Lady and gentlemen, welcome. Now, with us there on the far right is Mr. Falu Sow. He is the coordinator of the Network Against Gender Violence, if I'm right, gender-based violence. And in this afternoon's program, of course, we all know over the last few days, the Gambia had its own Me Too movement. Ever since Fatou Jallow, also known as Tufa, made allegations of rape against former President Jammeh, many other Gambian women came up with their own stories about the alleged attempts to rape them or actual attempts to rape them. And there was a demonstration at the Westfield on Pipeline Road, if you like, at which dozens and dozens of people came out to, for the first time actually, try to break a taboo that surrounds gender-based violence, such like rape, etc., etc. Now, in the studio is Mr. Falu. So let me begin by asking you first. What is Network Against Gender-Based Violence? What do you do?
Thank you very much, Lamin Cham. Is it Lamin Cham?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The Network Against Gender-Based Violence is a membership-based organization which was formed in 2009 to combat all forms of violence against women and girls, and also violence against men and boys. And that's why it is named Network Against Gender-Based Violence. Our goal is to ensure that our society is free from violence, so that we all live together in a harmony and peaceful manner, and to develop our nation. So we have a membership from both civil society organizations, CBOs, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, as well as affiliated members from government. Which are the key government institutions that are responsible for addressing or has the mandate to ensure that issues of gender-based violence are taken care of.
When you say, well, you said, of course, you are against all sort of violence, but you said, you call yourself gender-based. When you say gender-based violence, what do you mean? What comes to people's minds, perhaps? You're talking about only violence directed at women.
The term gender is not about
just
women.
Women, yes.
It's not about women. People misinterpret the term to perhaps refer when they had it to only women. But the term gender does not mean only women, because it's about both men and women. Okay? And when we talk of gender-based violence, we're referring to any act of violence that is directed to an individual based on that person's sex or that person's gender. If you are a man and then somebody violates you because you are a man, then it is gender-based violence. If you are a woman and somebody violates you just because you are a woman, then it is gender-based violence. Yeah, so that's what gender-based violence is.
We will come, of course, to the current developments, but then let me pass you to Niman.
Yeah, so I mean, we know that your organization focuses a lot on collecting statistics relating to issues of violence against women, incest, rape, defilement, and stuff like that, wife battering. Talk to us about rape. This year so far, or in the past years, have there been a lot of occurrences of things of this nature?
Thank you very much, Mustafa. The issue of, like you said, we collect data from what we call care team or service providers. And these service providers include the police, the Department of Social Welfare, the Ministry of Justice, the health facilities such as the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, Serakunda General Hospital, Bansang General Hospital, and FLAG. And the Center for Children, of course, Female Lawyers Association, the Gambia, because we have some women who goes there after their rights are being tampered with or they are violated. So we collect that and we analyze it, and then every quarter we write a quarterly report which would include the statistics or data that we collected from them. We will not call it a national data, but at least it can give us a clue about the occurrence of the different forms of gender-based violence. And for the past 5 years, say 2014 to now, we have seen a rise, especially in the cases of gender-based violence, the reported cases of gender-based violence. We want to just recognize the fact that gender-based violence is grossly underreported in this country because of the culture of silence, because of the way, the nature in which people live together. In the Gambia, almost everybody knows everyone. And because of the fact that most of those who perpetuate gender-based violence are people who are very close and who are well known to the survivors or victims. So because of that, sometimes these survivors or victims tends to want to protect them. Giving an example, if your cousin rapes you, or if you are raped by even your father, because we have cases of incest which involve parents sexually abusing their own daughters, which results in sometimes pregnancies. We have all those type of cases. Just to say that from 2014 to now, the network has recorded 1,954 cases of gender-based violence. 1,900, and not necessarily rape. When we talk of gender-based violence here, we are referring to the 5 different types of violence, which is sexual violence, physical violence, emotional and psychological violence, economic violence, and the harmful traditional practices such as FGM and child marriage. Those cases that are reported to these service providers, and we collect them from them. So it's 1,954. But out of that, rape stand up, or rape or sexual violence stand up to be the most occurrent one in this country for the past 5 years. And we're talking about rape counting for 48% of those cases, meaning about over 900 of the cases, 941 or so. Let me just refer to make sure that I give you the right statistics. So rape is, rape or sexual violence, yes, it's correct, 941. 941 out of this 1,954 are sexual violence. So we count for almost 48%, almost half. So this is showing how serious the issue of sexual violence is in this country. And this is why our network, we are coming together. We are trying all we can to break this silence. We try all we can to involve men, boys, girls, women, politicians, media houses, everybody, Because for us, gender-based violence is everybody's concern and should be everyone's interest, because you are either affected directly or indirectly in one way or the other. You cannot just escape. I always say that if you are a victim, you are affected, but if you are a perpetrator, you are as well affected. And if we can prevent it, we are protecting both the perpetrators and the victims or survivors. So this is why every one of us needs to participate. Every one of us needs to, act and do some things to ensure that we prevent gender-based violence.
So, I mean, if I could just briefly interrupt, you've talked about close to 2,000 cases, but these are only those that were voluntarily reported.
Yes, yes.
So, in other words, those who have not reported their cases have gone unnoticed.
Unnoticed, yeah.
So that's why you meant
and also to make this clear, that is those that reported to only these 8 institutions I talked about. So imagine if we have gone to all the health facilities in this country.
Or all the police stations.
All the police stations in this country. All the other NGOs in this country where people sometimes, talk to them about these issues. How much cases would we have? I'm talking about just 8 institutions, with most of them, all the 7 are centered within the greater Banjul area. It's only one that is in the provinces, which is Bansan. So that can give us a clue. What are we talking about if we had a comprehensive national data on gender-based violence? Today, we will be talking of thousands and thousands. You understand? And not about 2,000. We will be talking of maybe tens of thousands of cases. Not to speak about those who are affected in silence. You understand? So it's a very serious matter. And no matter whether you are affected and you are silent or you are open, it still affects all of us.
Good.
Because if you are affected and you are silent, you still seek for services.
Good.
And that services that is provided to you is public funds that is used to provide that service to you. So it affects all of us.
So you and your group then must be very excited when this whole Me Too Gambia version started. I'm not saying, that's not to say whether you believe in Fatu's allegations or not, but you certainly must welcome this sudden spontaneous outpour of people coming out, making claims and counterclaims and kind of raising awareness about this whole matter during the past few days. What's your reaction to this whole thing about the upsurge in the revelations of rape or like rape cases or other forms of harassment?
It's like how would I describe it? It has the goodies and the baddies. People coming openly and publicly talking about the fact that they are violated. It is good for our campaign in one way that it's revealing the existence of gender-based violence, so that policy makers, decision makers, we can see the public, we can see media houses picking it up, which is amplifying it. So it is very, very helpful to us with regards to our campaign, so that everybody gets the message, which is very important to us. However, for those who are coming publicly, because they are not guided, because it is not done in a professional manner, it would have also some effects on them. Because we need to understand that, especially issues of sexual violence, when somebody comes publicly and says, I have been raped, and you are not prepared for it. You have not undergone therapy. You have not been well informed about the effects and the re-traumatization that could happen after you have come publicly. Because some people will believe you, others will not believe you. Some people will castigate you. They will say all kinds of negative things about you. And you need to be prepared for that if you want to come publicly. Like somebody like Tufa is prepared. So it's different from the other young ladies or girls who have just simultaneously or simultaneously just come out like that without being prepared. They have not have psychosocial and therapy services. They have not been counseled, prepared mentally and psychologically to come out and face the effects of that. So this is our concern about the issue. What we are advising is that if you are affected, you can report, but you have organizations and institutions where you can go and report, and yet still your case will be followed, and your case will be dealt with in a professional manner, and you will reduce the impact of the stigma and discrimination and also all this traumatization that will come upon you. So just to say that we appreciate that people are coming out, but we are concerned of the effects it could have also on some of them because they are not prepared for this. Yeah.
So it's important to acknowledge both sides of what is happening currently. Yeah. But I think we also need to understand the context as to what may necessitate this outpour and knowing the fact that some people, for example, we are always in communities, and we do not necessarily, as women, have a support group, either at home or within our communities, where you feel comfortable to come out with information like this. And Facebook, other social media platforms have offered this very comfortable platform for people to be able to voice some of these things. And that's what we have seen happening.
Yeah.
And some other people have also revealed their situation through other people because they do not have necessarily close to them people that they could talk to. And people feel comfortable talking to their peers than they do to their parents or they do to any organization. And these are all of the things that we need to put into consideration. But now that this has happened, I think it's something that we need to embrace, something that we need to support, but also understanding that there are negative effects. It's your organization or any other organization out there that is coming out to fill in this vacuum, to respond to the needs that may arise as a result of this outpouring of stories that are coming out.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very important question. Our organization, since when this happened, we have been trying to come together and so because like I said, we are a network. It's not, I'm working at the secretariat, but we have different members. For instance, FLAG has offered services to provide legal support, assistance, and legal counseling to some of these people who wants to, take legal action. We have another organization like WILL, which is also providing psychosocial support and therapy because they have a psychologist and a therapist who can also support these people in that way. At the network level, at the secretariat, we have a support group, a survivors of sexual violence support group. It has been in existence for some time before even this happened, where we have a number of people who have been raped or sexually violated in one way or to other that comes together, meet, discuss, and provide supports to each other. So we're saying that to all these people, and there are other members also out there who are ready to also support and provide other support. So if anybody needs any support, you can either go to one of these members that I've just mentioned, or you can come to our secretariat at Action 8 MDI Road, and then we would ensure that when we know what you need, we would direct and facilitate for you to access that service through one of the members or through somebody, an individual who is ready to give that service, because there are also some individuals who have expertise in certain areas who are willing and ready to also support them. So we are open, our doors are open. We want them to come out so that we can do all we can. We stand by them and support them to ensure that all these problems are solved in the most just and best way.
So another important question is, as the stories continue to come out, we are able to differentiate what may constitute rape and what may not necessarily be rape. These are all information coming out.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there needs to be clear on what rape is as opposed to what other sexual violences are, what do you need to look for what differentiates rape from other forms of sexual violence?
What differentiates rape from other forms of sexual violence is that rape has to be force. It has to be through coercive, as it is stated in the Sexual Offences Act 2013, through coercive means. And the Sexual Offences Act has given several definitions of coercive action or coercive means, which we may not be able to exhaust here, but we can give some examples for people to know. But I will advise people to read the Sexual Offences Act thoroughly. It will guide them to know what constitutes rape and what does not constitute rape, because it is well explained there, and it's our national law. If they're not clear about that, they can go to like institutions like FLAG, they can come to the network, we will try to explain to them what it means. For instance, if somebody has sexual contact with a person who is a child, and by child here I mean somebody who is below the age of 18, because that's what legally the definition of a child in our country is, somebody below the age of 18. That can constitute rape, because that person does not legally cannot give consent and inform consent to sex. You understand? So that's one thing. So if, for instance, also you deceive somebody, you deceive me, for instance, to believe that you are lying when you are not lying, okay? And because I think you are lying, I had sexual intercourse thinking that I'm having sexual activity with lying.
Now, let's go back a little bit. You mean if somebody impersonates somebody's husband?
That's it, yes. Somebody's husband or boyfriend or whoever. And as a result of that, the person has sexual intercourse with you, thinking that you are that person. When he realizes that you are not that person, it constitutes rape. You understand? Okay? So
but that incident is very, very rare.
Yeah, it's very rare, but it do happen. Because we have cases of people who are twins, who are identical twins.
Oh, really?
That can happen. You have cases now where people have boyfriends who are outside that they have never seen. And somebody might, you know, pretend they are that person and travel to the Gambia and take advantage of you and use you. Because of
can we clarify
so
this
all
part
those
a little
things
bit?
could
Because
happen.
I remember Mustafa and I having this conversation prior to this session. If somebody deceives you monetarily or with material or with promises of marriage, and to a point where they are able to win over your emotions that way, and based on your expectations of what they have promised, you voluntarily have sex with them, and it turns out that they deliberately deceived you that way, would that constitute rape?
I'm not sure whether that will.
It wouldn't.
Because
if
you are an adult,
if somebody promises a girl I'll marry
I'll marry you, and based on that you agree to have sex with the person, later the person decide not to marry you.
Especially if this person is known to have been doing this to several girls.
Probably if it is known, because if there is corroboratory evidence to show that you have been doing this, then it can constitute. Because you have several acts that have been done that can support what this girl is saying. If you have that, it can help to constitute, because then they will know that this is intentional. You were using it. It's a deception. So you deceive the person on the pretext that you want to marry that person. But if, for instance, because you can't read my mind, if it is one case and, for instance, we discuss and then I said I want to marry you, this and that, and then because of that you agreed for us to have sex before marriage, and later on I change my mind for one reason or the other, because when you go to court, how would you prove that it was intentional, that, and also that I didn't mean it when I told you initially that I was not. So it will be complicated.
So it's a long shot.
Yeah, it's So that's why it's going to be difficult for that person, and you have to prove beyond any reasonable doubt in court, because rape is a capital offense. and you take lot of years in prison if you are proven guilty of committing it. You can go for 15, 20 or life depending on the case and the circumstances. So because of the court would be very careful to make sure they convict somebody who's innocent. So just by saying that it's going to be difficult, if you can prove it in court, then it would be seen as a deception.
I guess perhaps maybe we narrow it down to a more concrete point. Will deception, as it were, like the word deception, play any significant role in constituting rape?
Yes, of course it will.
Not necessarily coercive, like you can,
because
not necessarily using force to commit rape.
Because the definition of coercive circumstances as it is used in the Sexual Offences Act will include that deception. There are different forms, physical force, through use of deceiving the person in one way or the other, and by even through verbal threat. For instance, if I threaten you that if you do not agree to have sex with me, I'm going to fail you. You are a student, and then you working hard, you want to pass your exam. And I said, you either have sex with me or else I fail you in your exam.
You're a teacher.
And you are a teacher or a lecturer, you said that to your student. And because the student wants to pass, doesn't want to fail, he agrees to have sex with you so that he can pass that exam. You know,
can
that is also a threat.
Can it also be perceived? Let's say, for example, you're working for somebody and he requires sex from you without deliberately making any threats, verbally or otherwise, but you know that if you refuse, you might lose your job. So this is a perceived threat.
Yes.
You have any cases like
that? Would that constitute?
Yeah, there are people who have reported. I'm sure there are some who has taken it because the fact that we have cases of reported cases of people who have said somebody has said before he has give me job or before he promotes me or so, or before I get some of this support from him or from her, I need to have sex with that person. We have cases of such nature. So the fact that you have one or two of those cases mean that you have several that have not been reported. And some people have undergone that, probably they agreed to go to do it to get whatever they wanted to get, and because of that they will not disclose and the like. Some people would decide not to do it and go and lose whatever that privilege was or whatever that opportunity was for them. But it do happen, and there are several cases of those kind that are happening in workplaces.
Can that be prosecuted?
Of course, if you have evidence to support that this really happened, yes, that person can be prosecuted for that, because it's illegal.
So,
understand.
Just barely somebody has a reputation of being a womanizer, who's known to have slept with a lot of people, a lot of girls, some of them vulnerable ones, or women whom he lured to have sex with him, either because of promise of marriage or perhaps promise of privileges like material and other things. Does that tantamount to rape?
It depends on how he or she is doing it. I'm using he or she because according to our law, both men and women can rape.
Do this.
Okay, so it depends on how the person is doing. If he's deceiving people to have sex with them.
So if somebody goes about,
then he's forcing them to have sex with them.
If somebody goes about driving, like what is called in England, like cab crawling, you must have the terminology in your list. Like I drive in my car, go around the university gate or go to the nightclubs and stand there with my money and looking for
somebody, and then you negotiate and
you do that habitually. You're known to be doing that.
No, that cannot be counted as rape, because if you've negotiated with the person, mind you, it has to be an adult. If it is a child, somebody below the age of 18, it's criminal. You understand? If it is an adult, 18 years and above, and then you go there wherever you've gone, even if it is not in the bar and but you meet with the person, you discuss, you negotiate, and then you have sex, it cannot be called rape, because that person is now a grown-up person, is an adult, and can give informed consent to sex. So if she agrees to have sex with you, go with you, and have sex with you, you cannot call that illegal. You understand? But if you do it in a deceptive manner, or you force the person using other means, because you have a power, because most of the time sexual violence occurs when somebody uses power. You know, you use your power, and power here is in broad terms, either your position, either your money in an exploitative manner, either your influence in other ways, or maybe even your knowledge, because the person doesn't understand and you are able to confuse the person and make the person to do something that he or he doesn't like. You know, maybe also you have other influence, you use threat, or so forth, or so on. Maybe you are able to, any other power you use, you understand, to influence that person, to have sex with that person. If that person has all the information that she needed and everything, she will not have done that act. Then it will constitute a coercive circumstance for him.
Now,
so it's very complicated.
Could we connect that to the? I'm not. This is. I know the Tufa case is quite contentious. A lot of people don't want to be dragged into it. But I mean, given the circumstances she had painted, could her issue fit into that description of coercive circumstances?
If the circumstances she has painted is what prevails, what is the reality, then it's rape. Obviously, because it's abuse of power. And also she didn't accept it. So it was forced. The circumstances in which she found herself, in the way she describes it, would show that it's that's there's no this thing about that.
Allow me to drag you into a little bit of murky area, which is really very much at contrast with our culture. Always a controversial issue. If, according to your organization, your terms of reference or your definition of rape, if a wife refuses to have sex with her husband at any time, and the husband insisted the sex must take place, is that rape?
No, in the Gambia, that will not constitute rape. Yeah. But in some countries.
No, why is it that it's not rape in the Gambia, it's rape in UK or?
Yeah, the reason is the difference in our laws. In the UK law, there is what they call marital rape. In the Gambian law, there is no marital rape. In fact, if you look at the Sexual Offences Act, there is a provision there that clearly states that rape cannot happen between married couples. So our lawmakers, just to make sure that things are clear, it does not arise, it is stipulated there in our law. Very clear.
But
so that's why.
Is it possible for anybody to advocate against that? Because normally, if you are looking at the natural definition of sexual violence, that would have.
It can happen. Yes, of course. I agree with you. In fact, it was there in the draft. In the draft Sexual Offences Act, marital rape was there. It's the lawmakers who removed it there. And you can know the reason. The reason is very clear.
We're classed with our culture.
Yes. Our culture, that's what they look at. And secondly, also, you look at our National Assembly, 98% men. So they're trying to protect men because they think that if they put that there, most of us would have been in jail or so as men.
But in your personal conviction, not necessarily mandate of your office, in your personal conviction, do you think if a wife refuses sex with the husband and is asked to do so?
As an individual, I think if my wife refuses sex and then I forced my wife into sex, it's rape for me. I'm saying as a person, I'm not talking about what the law says or what other people may perceive, my own perception, because I feel you shouldn't force anybody
I agree with you on that point.
You shouldn't force
I believe
anybody.
when you force yourself on anybody, what
Yeah.
you're doing is you're taking away their agency from them. You're
Yeah.
making decisions for them. And
Yes.
these are adults, they can make their own decisions.
And secondly, there could be very important reasons.
Wow.
And we have cases of people who are married, who have been sexually violated, assaulted by their husband. Imagine somebody who has given a birth to a baby, and within a short period, within 2 weeks, your husband said he will by force have sex with you. There are cases reported to some of our health centers where women who have delivered within a very short period, they are not healed, their husband violated them, and it results to serious injuries for them, and they have to go back to hospital and be hospitalized. And in all these circumstances, the woman who says, I said no, but he insists. You understand? We have seen husbands who have battered their wives seriously because they want to sleep with them and injured them. So all those things, for me, is not right. For me, you know, sex should be something that both of you are in for it, and then both of you, want to have it. So you can negotiate it. If the wife says, I am ill, I'm so tired today that I cannot do it, or there is maybe also she's brief and is not thinking of that, you should be able to understand as a man for that day and then excuse her. Just like you as a man, for most of us men, when we are brief, when we are sick, when we are too tired, we want to sleep. And sometimes your wife could want to have sex with you, but because you're tired, you would say no, and the wife would respect your no. But here in the Gambia, and not only in the Gambia, most of the time, it's the man who determines when, how, and where sex takes place. And that's wrong. That's wrong. Okay. We should respect each other. We should treat each other as equals when we are there, so that you respect the feelings of your wife as much as your wife also respects your feelings.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. So
you've painted, or you are going to end it there.
No, you go ahead.
Well, you've painted a very grim picture, and I think the most significant part is what we've not talked about. What happens after rape, prosecution? I mean, how often do you have secured convictions, or do you see secured convictions in all these cases you've talked about?
That's a very, very important question, because that's one of our challenges, and that's one of the biggest challenges for people who report cases of rape. Like it is always said, it's easy to allege, but difficult to prove rape. In most of the cases that we have, knowing the process, the judicial process, procedures, it takes so long. And as it takes so long, it frustrates and makes some of these survivors to, at the end of the day, sometimes not wanting to go to court. Imagine you have a rape, you are raped, and the case takes 5 years. It's a big problem. There are a lot of cases that are lingering in court right now, rape cases that have been going on for more than 2 years, 3 years. So this is a problem that our judicial system needs to look at very critically, and the Justice Ministry needs to look at, as well as the police, to see how. Because by law, cases of rape should be expedited. They should, give it a due consideration to ensure that the cases take the shortest possible process, so that the survivors could get justice. But it's not only for the survivors, even the accused person. Imagine if somebody is accused of rape and you are arrested and maybe probably remanded, or even if you are granted bail, you're going up and down to court for 2-3 years. How frustrating that could be for you who has been accused. So it's both for those who are survivors as well as for those who are accused. It is important that the cases are dealt with in a very swift and very expedited manner, so that whatever the case may be, justice is attained at a very shortest possible time. But that is the big challenge for us now. Some convictions have been, the court has convicted numerous cases. There are different cases that have been convicted.
There are successes.
But yes, of course, there are many successes, but there are many failures as well.
Give us a picture, give us an idea of how big the successes or otherwise they are.
I would not be fair if I
give
a percentage. Yes, because I don't have a correct stat on it. I know of some cases that I know of in which the accused people have been sentenced to jail. I know of that. I also know of some cases that I know of in which the accused people were released after prosecution for not having enough evidence to prove beyond doubt that what they are accused of is what had happened. So all those things are happening. But one of the biggest challenge is the time it takes.
What are the chances for people who have been abused for, let's say, 3, 4 years, 5 years back, and they report just 5 years later, compared to cases that are fresh, acts that have just happened?
Yeah, because there is chances of evidence being lost. The longer the time takes, the greater the chances of evidence being lost. That's one. Secondly, the longer the time takes, the greater the chances of the victim forgetting even some of the details. And also the victim getting frustrated and moving out, because we have seen cases like that. A victim who was here and now is married, is in Senegal, and you called her, she said, I'm no more interested, because she was 16 years and was raped, and the case dragged until she's 22 years now. She's married, she is living happily with her husband, and you want to bring all that trauma back to her, and she said, no, I don't need it. And it works in the interest of perpetrators. The more we drag cases, it works in the interest of perpetrators. Justice delayed, justice denied.
All right, finally, Mr. So, how emboldened or encouraged is your organization with regards to what happened in the past 3 weeks, in 3 days, the Me Too, Gambia Me Too thing?
I think we are very happy that we have seen women who are bold, knowing the culture of the Gambia, knowing that we hardly discuss issues of sexuality, issues of sexual and reproductive health issues. Parents don't discuss it with their children. People don't discuss it. So the fact that we have some women who are bold enough, who are courageous enough to come out to say, yes, I have been sexually violated, is very encouraging for us, because it means this culture of silence is being broken gradually. And it means it will also ring a bell on some people who are habitual rapes or habitual abusers of children and women. They will think twice now before they do anything like that, because they will fear that that girl might one day come out and say what has happened. So it is very, very encouraging for us. And then all we are saying is our doors are open, and even if you have not spoken publicly, but you have a case that is traumatizing you, that is affecting you, come to us, come to our network, go to our members, and then we will see.
People can reach you.
You can reach us. I can give you our contact detail. You can reach us through, if it is officer line 439.
Where is the office?
The office is at Action 8 MDI Road. We are renting at Action 8, opposite University of the Gambia, in their new building under. That's where you are renting. So you go to Action 8, you just say we are asking for network office. They will direct you to our office. So our office line is 439-8122, 439-8122. And you can also call our program manager on 7780-269, 7780-269. or our advocacy and campaign officer on 783-7281. They are both women, so that if you want to talk to a fellow woman who understands these issues, who have been working on these issues, all of them have been working with these issues, so they can receive your call and they can listen to you. If you want to talk to me, you can call 345-3525. I've also have vast experience in this work. I've worked at social welfare from a junior officer as a records clerk. I rose to the ranks to be the deputy director of social welfare for 9 years. I've worked with all these cases, and then I've been in the network. I've been the program manager, and now I'm the national coordinator. For the past 5 years, I've been working with this. So I have experience in this thing. So people should trust us and come out and know that when they come, even if we don't have the expertise to deal with their matter or to address their needs, we have a network. And one of the network members will have the expertise to support them. And we will facilitate for them to have that support or assistance. Yeah.
Faluso of the Network Against Gender-Based Violence, thank you very much for joining us on the brunch. This is the brunch on Kerfatu. We're going for a commercial break, but when we come back, we will digest and analyze hard-hitting headlines from both the local press as well as the Fatu Network, and perhaps possibly what is trending on social media.
Kerfatu.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan, or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Seaview Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
To mum Mamadou Lamin Toureleti, but then Jang Beshirin Dami Bakari Housing Estate, Msafono Mobe and Lemobe and Tolom Boy Turella. And then I have another nickname, Zix. So basically, Walemun Todidal.
My name is Ibrahim Fati, commonly known as Rahim, the Dream, Rahim, one-man soldier.
Currently, Sainteng, we have a barber shop. The barber shop is Jambiming Ronkan as it now. For recently, clothing line sort of urban life. Me along for them bewo Ronkan, and then service dole for sort of me along it has something to do with like mola samatol and stuff like that. So currently, me wole Ronkan. These 3 things for now. Me wole Ronkan. Barbing mum kulati mi alanko lafta la kabirin dinding. So nga kele for the longest time. Kulo mi alanko, is part of me. So wole bije dal lafta la lenkake, and then I enjoy doing it.
I remember when I was young, like, whenever we have korite, tabaski and all that, like, my house used to be full with kids. By then I used a comb and razor. So it became something that it became a passion. I have fun doing it, and the conversation I have with people inspired me more.
People living within us, not supporting us. You know, most of the time, you can't business or shut up. Yeah, expect any more in the sharing. Instead of they coming to support you, they prefer going outside because I believe like more you're doing something for yourself. You want to sharing, you want to idle and all that. More near businesses to me and yeah established is within your neighborhood and all that. Ila more than like support. Imagine I have la banda kata more support me along you know. They're not adding value to you. Ila business way rather.
The challenges I face either here or abroad. The challenges I face is like Gambians, we don't support each other. Me opening the shop was the intention, you know, like instead of my people to go to other barber shops, you know, it will make it convenient for them to come to me to get a haircut, to book appointments and everything. But the way I overcome it, I went to a point I don't depend on nobody. I know what I do, and I know my service that I offer to my customers. So my clients were coming from, you know, both directions. It doesn't matter what kind of race, gender or anything. So after I start depending my clientele on just one ethnicity, so that's the time I overcome that. Then people start believing in me and coming to my shop every time for a haircut.
My clients will mainly in South Conte, personally my friends, me alonko ni, you know, from day one, ni Keba Tanyola, and then I have people from outside, unknown people, Tambilal, you know, different clients. All the Canadian. Both male, female, kids, young and old, mobile Canadian.
Both. Male, female, both. So we offer both services to both male or female. So currently, the one in Gambia is only 2 of us. We don't have employees yet, but the one in Texas, I have I have 2 people that I hired that are working for me right now at the moment.
In 5 years' time, you know, we have big plans. Big plans. Not only urban life barbers, not only urban life clothing. We have big plans in 5 years' time. We are thinking of, you know, going into different kind of businesses, venture into different kind of business. But the brand name stays the same. But we're trying to, you know, establish, venture into different kind of business. Not only barbing, not only urban life clothing and all that, but then, you know, even farming and all that. You know, we are thinking of doing all that, yes.
We're trying to make it as a big entrepreneur, not just urban life barbers or urban life clothing or urban life poultry farm. We want to make it big that we can create jobs for the youth. We can create employments for other people to join us, not just like, okay, we're going to hire this person for a haircut, or we're going to hire this person to do marketing for our clothing line, or we're going to hire this person to for the urban life poultry. No, we want to make it big. We want to go into a lot of ventures, like my brother said. So we're not just going to focus on, in fact, I mean, what we're praying for, inshallah, we want to see ourselves big. Back to Amsterdam, which right here, when you come all the way, if you come from Senegambia, to Amsterdam, just make a right. It's not far from the main road. If you come from Serakunda, anywhere, it's just like, you know, it's in a location where that you cannot miss it. So back to Amsterdam, and there are phone numbers that you can call to book an appointment. We open 7 days a week. You know, anytime you call, we are available to service you.
780-8663, 995-8030, 780-8663, 995-8030.
Welcome back. This is the brunch on Kerfatu. And you had well, Kerfatu. Right, we now go to the headlines in the press review. Was it registered or not? Or was it Barrow's party or not? We talk about, they much talk about two political parties that are in the offing. The leader of the United Democratic Party, in an interview with Paradise TV, hinted that one of the two parties that has been talked about to be either registered or about to be registered, well, he used exactly the word registered, is the national, well, let's call it NDP, because we're not sure whether, what the initials means, but NDP, Mr. Dabo said, really that is Barrow's party. The IEC had come out to say, but only just, because they answered that question only just to say, no such party has been registered yet, but they didn't go to explain whether any party of that name has been presented to them, leading people to suspect that yes, Mr. Dabo may have a point, the party must have, been presented to the IEC and they are looking at the party's credentials or requirements to register. What do you make of it?
Has it been registered or not? I think that's the bigger question. We don't know as of yet.
But do you believe, before Dabo's announcement, did you ever hear, even let's say, a wind of it, that there's a party on the offing to be called in rhyme with the, what you talk about NDP, which is supposedly been considered to be formed, led by Barrow?
I believe so, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens that way, because this is something that we have talked about before. The national NDP, or the NDP, has been politicized for so long, since, especially since Barrow and Dabo fell out. And we have seen that Barrow and his supporters using it as a rallying point to say that it's either you support the NDP or you do not support the NDP. And the way that it has been presented to the public seems as if the NDP was like a Barrow's agenda, Barrow's political agenda, rather than a national program that should be embraced by the entire country.
Mustafa, do you believe Barrow is about to form a political party and there's any truth in this thing that it may be called something like along the lines of NDP?
Yeah, I think that's the likeliest thing he's going to do. I mean,
so you believe in the rumor, if you call it rumor? Mr. Dabo said he was sure that something
I'm
like
not
this.
sure it's rumor anymore. Barrow has made it clear his political ambitions, and we all know. Yes, but yeah, he doesn't have to say it. It has been implied time and time again that Barrow is going to contest. It has been implied time and in fact he said, yeah, he actually made it explicit that he's going to contest. Well, and it's only natural that he creates his own platform to contest. We know Barrow is certainly not going to use NRP to contest. That wouldn't make sense. Well, NRP has no such support.
About NRP, let's say my earliest suspicion about whether this can be true or not, when at the rally in Brikama, Hamad Ba said, we are about to register our party. In quotes. Well, he's already known to be NRP. I don't know which other party he's already NRP. And it was shortly after that that Dabo came out with these claims.
It could only be his own party.
He said, we are about to form a party. That's what NRP. That's what Hamad said.
It could be a coalition party.
We're about to form our party.
Yeah, and also the fact is, the basic fact is that submitting, you may not register the party. IEC chairman is only going to say, yes, Barrow has registered his party after necessary process have been undertaken and it's been officially confirmed to have been a political party. But he would not confirm that there is a party even when all the necessary filings were done.
So the
filing could be done. Yeah, for all we know, the files could be still there.
Okay. Now, let's go about this. Under the present arrangement, is it possible that Mr. Barrow formed or be associated with another party when he is still in the coalition arrangement? Is it possible?
Absolutely. There is nothing stopping him.
Okay, let's go into it. Because
there is no coalition.
People are confused. No, listen. As far as the IEC is concerned, people are confused about it, and I want clarity. As far as the IEC is concerned, Mr. Barrow is an independent candidate.
Absolutely.
That's what they.
Yes.
All right. He's an independent presidential candidate. He won.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. Whether it is coalition or anything, but he's just independent. So the IEC didn't see him beyond an independent candidate.
Absolutely.
Which means he can formed a party this time around and registered himself as an executive member, whether president or president. In your experience, the electoral laws, covering election, is there any conflict in this? Can he still be independent?
The point is, there are always people who are going to create this party. There is no stumbling block whatsoever. Barrow can even create a party and make someone else the Secretary General
until the time
of the election comes and contests as the presidential candidate for that party, because there is no law that says the Secretary General must contest as the presidential candidate. So there is nothing whatsoever blocking him from creating NDP.
Probably this is what is in. Although it's a tricky question, but here is the thing: like Mustafa said, Barrow can always form a party that he is affiliated to, and continues to be an independent
and stay in the background until when it is time for elections. Then they bring him up and put him up as a candidate.
Exactly.
Yes.
So probably this is don't you think this is probably what is happening? Like Mr. Barrow may be looking for ways and means of getting somebody who will
that's why I want to
who will hold the fort for him until the right time has come for him to come and be the party leader.
But also
I want to believe that this is going to be a coalition of the people he is currently in line with, including Ahmad Ba and.
So do you think Mr. Ba will just get rid of NRP?
He wouldn't have anything to lose.
Because he cannot.
I doubt it.
Mr. Ba really cannot go into this party, the other party, as an executive member now.
I think it's
NRP.
I think it's
as a coalition he can.
No, I mean I'm talking about
the issue
of this particular party, which is being talked about. He cannot be directly there now until later. What I'm saying.
It's registered as a coalition.
No, the party can only be registered as a party. You don't need to register a coalition. All you need to do, that IC has no business in coalition.
What would happen is you would disband the other one, his own party, and join the new one.
He would not do that.
It becomes a coalition among them, but
he would not do that. No, I think Ahmad is already established because he has 5 representatives in the National Assembly. Sure. It certainly makes no sense for him to dump that.
What would Ahmed do?
No, yes, but I think in these other circumstances, Ahmad does not lose. He's not the type who loses. Ahmad wins all the time.
What chances does Ahmad have on his own that he wouldn't have with Barrow?
No, it's not that point. The point is, Ahmad with NRP, him on top always, at least he's sure he's going to win certain consequences. It still puts him at the table.
You better not say consequences again.
Now,
consequences. But anyway, it still puts him at the table, right? And he also remains a party leader, right? Now, he still has that clout, you understand? And NRP has 5 constituencies at least, you understand? So, for Barrow, it's a risk to leave NRP and go to Barrow, because it's a person whose strength you've not seen so far.
It's not just that.
It's a big gamble.
It's not even possible under the current electoral laws for him to be a member of both parties. So he either have to wait, like Barrow will do, until the election comes, and then he abandon NRP to be an executive member of this
party. Which will be incredibly stupid.
Which will be stupid of him. Or he stayed as NRP leader and readily jump into a coalition with Barrow's NDP. In quotes.
And Hamad does not do such things. Hamad
calculates his ways better.
Hamad it's an addicted gambler.
He goes with the wind.
Hamad goes with the one who
is wind, and he goes with the one who is sitting on the throne.
Absolutely. Okay. Ahmad, that's how Ahmad does things.
We stay with the politics. The APRC has not just come out to reject too fast allegations, calling it a smear campaign. But they also came out at a press conference where they talk about more or less the same thing and many others. Now, critics observe that whenever Jammeh or their party leaders came under criticism, the APRC will go and organize some sort of press conference, as a way of deflecting some of these criticisms against their leader. I mean, this press conference, the timing of it, do you agree with those critics?
Yeah, I mean, it only comes to strengthen the suggestion that APRC is still all about Jammeh. I mean, Jammeh is still the central vocal person of the APRC party. If you remove Jammeh, there's an empty shell. I don't know if that makes sense. So what Tombon Tamba does,
not Tombon Tamba, Tombon Jata. Don't confuse it.
I'm confused.
Okay.
So Fabaka Manjata and APRC executive, what they do is to rally APRC supporters around Jammeh, because that's the only thing that holds them together.
Mustafa,
so
but how long can they definitely cling on to this idolizing of Jammeh and continue really to make inroads from their usual cells? Do you think it is giving them any service?
Well, like Nyuma said, APRC still thinks Jammeh is their unique selling point.
But if Jammeh is continuously, enmeshed in scandal upon scandals, and well, they of course call it smear campaign. But is it helping them?
That's the reason why it makes sense from their point of view to come out to give counterclaims of what is happening, because you don't want somebody that is holding your party together to be presented in a negative manner. So that people will see a different side of him that would not necessarily be in his favor. So it makes sense from their point of view to come out to challenge some of these accusations against him.
How much louder do you think their voice can be to drown
is it sustainable?
all this
That
big
is the
noise?
question. Is how long can they continue?
I'm not sure that makes whether or not they succeed in convincing people of their own position matters to them. I think what matters to them is the opportunity to also defend the integrity of Jammeh, if there is any at all.
APRC.
Because Jammeh and APRC are one and the same. So the point is, APRC, the truth is APRC also does not, Jammeh is who defines APRC. Jammeh defines APRC, APRC defines Jammeh. The two are not separable. So if Jammeh goes down, APRC goes down. Because Jammeh's 22-year record becomes APRC's 22-year records. So to defend APRC, you must have to defend Jammeh. And that's what they are doing. So when somebody comes to, Jammeh was the Nasiruddin. When somebody comes to say Nasiruddin committed rape, that discredits Nasiruddin. When Nasiruddin is discredited, as not being the leader of the people of faith, APRC is discredited. So when Jammeh is confirmed to have killed people, APRC is confirmed to have condoned that killing or created an environment that led to that killing. But that is on the same spirit that they are defending even Yankuba.
But to be fair with them,
so it's not any.
But to be fair with them, they admitted there were mistakes on the Jammeh. But
but if you
listen, but these mistakes should not be the only focus of people, and not acknowledging some of the achievements they have undergone and they have made during the 20 years. I mean, that has been their quarrel with most people. That all right, we have made mistakes, but we had made positive gains. But you don't talk about that. Do you think they have any valid point in that?
I mean,
look, the point is
the same thing. They're trying to paint a picture that is so positive that they want to sell to the people.
But the mistakes are more costly than the achievements.
Nobody would deny the fact that positive things had happened under Jammeh. But this you can, as much as you want to give credit to Jammeh for this is a natural responsibility of any government. What is not a government's responsibility is to violate the human rights of their people. And naturally also, those atrocities will always take precedence over whatever as positive you can associate with a particular government. But that is not in the interest of the APRC. What is in the interest of the APRC is to cast Jammeh in a positive light, and they are going to do that however they are able to do so. And we have realized that they are not even doing this in an honest manner, because most of the times when they come with information or they are challenging the legal processes that have been undertaken, they do so in a way that is distorting the information. They are selling the information that they think their supporters will want to hear, contrary to what the truth is, contrary to what is honest that we all know.
I think what they could have done is to, nobody is saying you cannot say the good things of Jammeh. You can say Jammeh built a university, say he built roads and that. You can say it. Say what you wish. But what is also important to know is that when issues of human rights violations comes forth, as a Gambian, you should also be honest enough to admit that this one is wrong and condemn it the same way. Because in a society where a human rights violation is condoned, no one is safe. Look at what happened to Haruna Jata. Haruna was killed.
Well,
and every sensible person should have condemned that, right?
Yes.
Now, but how do you condemn Haruna's death and condone Koro's death? How do you justify apartheid? How do you condemn apartheid?
I don't like the analogy you make here because these are two different things.
No, I know they are. I know they are two different. No, yes, I know they are two different things. There are two circumstances. But even when you are saying Haruna's death, you are condemning it, right? Yeah. Then how do you condone that of the death of Koro? We know, and under more gruesome circumstances. How do you condemn apartheid and say Yankuba is right to have invoked Section 13 of the Constitution? Because what we were talking about in Yankuba's case was not in fact that he is refusing to have killed. He didn't say that. Yeah. He is saying the Constitution has given me the immunity after killing. That's what Yankuba is saying.
Yes, he said
now that is like apartheid. Yeah. It's like a legal document basically that legitimizes murder.
Basically, you said you saw contradictions in the APRC.
That is what I am saying.
Or even hypocrisy.
My point.
Where they...
I just want to also say this.
They could move on.
The tantrum that APRC is throwing at this point is showing those contradictions. Things that, for example, they want to rely on the legal process. I have had an audio that was circulating from, emanating from, what's her name?
Jahumpa,
saying that Yankuba has every right to be released after 22 hours. This is something that you would not expect on the Jammeh, and they were part of that system. Yeah, so you see, when you're speaking to people, these are the things that they're putting together. So how is it possible that these violations could happen under you, but now you want something different?
So I think to move on, what they could have done, APRC has some smart young guys. Yeah. They should be able to, no, they do. Yeah. People like Amul, people like Duduja, you know, I mean, Fabakari himself may be of the yesteryear all order, but he is smart in a lot of ways. What they could have done is to accept that murder had happened on the Jammeh. That by virtue of his position,
they call it mistakes.
By virtue of his positions, Jammeh was responsible for a lot of things. Jammeh killed people here and called them dogs.
I mean, there is no
Solo Sanden died here. Jammeh went to a political rally and just one dog dies. Yes. And they asked me to invest. That happened in this country. Yes. So what they should have done is to admit that certain things were wrong and they had happened.
They call them mistakes.
But they are not mistakes. How do you call them mistakes and still say?
I don't think APRC would survive condemning Jammeh. I think the deed has been done already. We have political parties that are so designed around an individual that when you remove the individual, nothing is left.
Yeah, I think
so
my observation of the APRC is no different, not very different from the political parties we have had in the Gambia. Yeah. The PPP, when Sadawada in 1991 said he was thinking of not contesting the elections, we saw what happened. It was thrown into confusion. Factions started emerging. Right, because it was all centered around Sadawada. Yeah. The NCP, Sharif Diba was there. It was unthinkable for anybody to come and challenge. That's happened in other countries. Even now, the UDP, if you take Lawyer Dabo out, even at this very moment, you are definitely, there's going to be inevitable division. So he's going to be the central figure. These things happen. If you go to and in the APRC was worse because the thing was, the APRC government style was authoritarian. I mean, he took that to be his trophy. Yeah. And nobody there challenged him internally. It wasn't possible. Yeah. And what happened with the APRC at the time too was this, nobody was allowed to excel in their jobs. I mean, you could see even in Gambia's government, if you start to be very popular, very much liked, very much, admired by the people, you are in trouble, you either change or something. Sure. So there were very good politicians in the APRC who would have really excelled and put the parties paint the party's agenda in a more positive way if they had stayed in their jobs as politicians. But Jammeh had removed everybody. So now the party could not match in terms of elegance, in terms of presentation, in terms of campaign with the other opposition members who are seasoned.
Well.
Yes, of course, who are seasoned politicians who can articulate their points. APRC had known. Yankuba, to be fair, with him was a very good politician. He was a very good campaign material. This is what Mother Jahompe you are talking about. We are very useful to the APRC. I mean, they could convince people, they could rally people around them, but they were all taken away. Nobody was allowed to excel in their position. Jammeh overshadowed everybody, and he made terrible mistakes. Like, he appointed, which you can say are positive things, he appointed professionals, technocrats in government positions, in ministries, which was good because he expected that they will perform. If he had allowed them, that is, they would perform their duties regardless of party affiliations. Fine, but that wasn't possible. He was there. He forgot or neglected to groom people within his party who are going to be future politicians who will take over from him. And that's what happened to the APRC. As Mustafa alluded, there are people with the view that if the APRC could forget about Jammeh and rejuvenate themselves, rebrand themselves by putting these youthful members at the forefront and rebrand them and launch a fresh campaign, they suddenly would have more inroads than the obsession with Jammeh, who apparently is increasingly discredited all over the world each day and each month.
A lot of tact, and it will need a charismatic leader to do that. Why? Because APRC can certainly reclaim their relevance, they could reclaim respect from the ordinary people, but they will have to do so on the basis that they will be willing to lay off certain supporters, or they will be willing to lose majority of their current supporters.
No, in that case, you mean if they should put Jammeh aside and bring in new people?
Because that will mean they will have to denounce Jammeh's atrocities and they will have to distance themselves.
Not necessarily. They could step aside and say, well, come on, Jammeh now no longer is no longer a winnable candidate. So he is still our godfather, fine, still, but he can no longer. The reality is that he is not a winnable candidate again. We move on with somebody else.
But that's what I'm saying. That would also mean that majority of their losers will have to part ways with them.
They won't be convinced that. So without Jammeh, without no APRC.
Looks like it.
What is trending? What is trending? Finally.
So they actually had quite a time talking about the Justice Minister and his actions against
at their press conference.
Yeah, against the decisions he had taken against the APRC.
Such as?
Yeah.
And also blame the media for being quite unkind to the party in both our analysis.
That's why I saw some journalists going
both our analysis and
up in arms against the APRC. Why?
Well, maybe it's partly because the APRC in its past records have had quite a very tense relations with the media. Maybe partly.
I think that was not wise for Tombong to attack.
It looks like Tombong was frustrated.
I mean, there's no problem expressing your views about how journalists work, etc. But to openly attack or accuse the journalists of marginalizing or ignoring or perhaps trivializing APRC matter, I think that is not quite fair, because he needs, all what he needs, like you said, he needs to look back at the past, how the APRC government treated journalists. I think if he draws lesson from that, he should know that he is not the person.
Well, Tombong himself was here. There was no single radio in this country that was airing news.
Absolutely.
That's how bad it was.
He must admit that.
But of course, I also recognize his right to say whatever he wants to say. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. There's no
if he does not also feel that the media is not reporting accurately about the APRC's work, I think he should be comfortable enough to say it.
Yeah, that's true.
Did he
cite any example?
Well, he didn't cite specific, but he did say that there were incidences where the people were attacked at, I think, Kamfenda, Johnson, by UDP supporters. Of course, that was covered. Maybe Tombong, I'm not sure Tombong reads papers or
he does every day.
Does he?
Yeah, of course.
Because that was covered, but he said, well, the media actually didn't cover that. Perhaps it was because it's APRC.
Oh, wow.
And I think they've also made attempts to write organizations and also
human rights organizations.
Some embassies, but there is
they
didn't respond.
Is that not all a reflection of you know what their perception of the party and APR? They still see them as agents of oppression in the government the past 22 years. The only more reason the party needs to change its structures and its comportment by putting in new people who are not tainted with this alleged, tyranny, etc., etc. That's all the more in the interest of the party. What we're talking about now. Yeah. If even the international community is not listening to them, that's a problem. You need image changing.
Why should anybody listen to them?
So I think the most important thing about their press conference was that everybody also must have the opportunity to speak his or her truth.
Yes, yes,
yes. Regardless of who that individual is or which political
journalism.
Party that.
That is what.
So
that's why people were there to cover.
So Tombong spoke his truth. I mean, a lot of us, myself, I didn't ask a question because I attempted to ask 2 occasions, but Du was looking at other directions. Not that he was deliberately denying me, though. So, but after I got tired, the press conference was too long. I didn't ask any questions, but of course, a lot of us disagreed on point of law or either logic on some of the things he said. Of course, there are things he said that are right, but of course, there are things he said that are inconsistent. Of course, you know when Tombong is talking about protection of human rights, certainly. I mean, there is a huge contradiction. I mean,
but now, must we also be blinded with the fact that, okay, this APRC, they have no right or moral authority to preach anybody about human rights. They violated.
Oh, that will be wrong.
But if we do that, we
will
make the same mistake.
That will be wrong.
But my point is,
so if he highlights human rights abuses, I think his voice should be heard.
Absolutely.
So that it can be addressed.
Absolutely.
My point is, I agree with you. Everybody deserves their human rights to be protected, regardless of who you are, regardless of your past conduct. But the point I'm trying to make here is, everywhere APRC comes out to claim violations on their rights is usually because they don't agree with the process, right? So that, for me, that's where the contradiction is, because this is the normal legal process that everybody recognizes. But this is a process that was not in place in the government's time. So
they said the TRRC is witch hunting.
Yeah.
Jana Commission now is targeting only Jammeh, etc.
Well, Jana Commission was established by law.
But these are normal processes.
So, and another point they raised was the issue of charging Jankuba with murder instead of contempt. There are 2 fundamental things there. TRRC is a truth reconciliation. It's a transitional justice mechanism that wants to encourage reconciliation through truth speaking process.
Absolutely.
That means you have to testify, right? Now, but side by side with TRRC is a judicial justice process. One either goes through TRRC or you go through the judicial justice process.
Yes.
And by not allowing to go through TRRC, you are automatically accepting to go through the judicial justice process.
Yes.
So when you go through judicial justice process, what do people do? They charge you with the crime they have.
Yes.
That is why Yankuba was charged with murder.
Whether or not you are guilty of this is another question.
They charge you with the crime they have. That is why Yankuba was charged with murder. 2.
But what about if the argument is that he should not...
He should have been charged with contempt.
No, he shouldn't even have been charged because the law,
no
law or court has any right to charge because...
They've raised that, so we'll get to that on Monday.
The Supreme Court, I think it was a smart move. I don't think the Justice Ministry believe at this point that they have enough evidence even to prosecute Yankuba. But at least by charging him with murder, they are buying themselves enough time to do their investigation, but also to allow the Supreme Court to deliberate on that part of the Constitution that
takes a long time to...
And more importantly, if you charge Yankuba with murder, You have the opportunity to deny him bail.
Yes.
You have the opportunity to take him to mile 2.
It's going to be a long process.
Yes, you have the opportunity, because when you are charging him with contempt, he's going to have bail.
Yes.
They are avoiding that.
Yeah.
So they come hard with the highest allegation they have. Murder of Koro.
So do they that out of anger or because of his...
Well, I would say out of frustration, because there is a national process. You don't want to go through that national process. You go through it the hard way. So that's what the Justice Ministry has done.
I don't think it's out of frustration. I think it's just the natural procession of things, because justice must be delivered.
Yes.
And these are people are truly convinced that they have committed atrocities. So if they are giving you an opportunity to contribute to a process that would benefit everyone,
You know what? So one analyst said.
I actually said frustration because Justice Minister would have wanted Yankuba to testify.
Yes.
Not necessarily to go through.
That's what one analyst said. Which said, well, Yankuba has been charged with murder because he was quoting people who said, no, he didn't murder this man. He did not directly kill this man. It was in his house, but somebody else had the motive, etc., etc. So, Yankuba, if you charge him with murder, you cannot prove him, because he didn't kill. He said, well, there you are now. The irony is this. If you know all those facts, and Yankuba know all those facts, before waiting to tell that to the court, why didn't you tell that story?
And walk free.
You tell that story in the commission and go to sleep in your house.
And walk free, yeah.
So Yankuba actually took a long, hard road.
And then how about if Edward comes? He took a very long and hard road.
Yes.
And this is this is a very difficult gamble.
Yeah.
Because right now, when we were at the contempt case, the issue of jurisdiction comes.
Yes.
His lawyer began to argue that there is no jurisdiction to hear the case. Now, if this comes, on the murder charges, he hasn't taken a plea yet. So, but before we got into the substantive matter before the court, which is the trial in itself, the trial of murder, this issue of jurisdiction will come.
Well, yes,
and when this issue of jurisdiction comes, we'll have to take it to High Court for interpretation. Before High Court interpretation, that takes another long time. In the meanwhile, you are in mile 2. So it's a very long road.
Yeah.
It's a very long road.
Yes, so well.
What's trending?
What's been trending?
What has been trending? Somebody said, I think they need to suspend their meetings. Tombong Jatta had made a very scandalous showcase of frustration within the APRC party.
What happened exactly?
And it came out so publicly that immediately has begun circulating on Facebook and WhatsApp. People
Tell us
sharing
about
the
it.
video.
What was it?
So apparently there was a press conference yesterday that APRC had organized, and before the conference started, apparently the mics were on, and Yankuba was sitting in a mix of Rambo Jatta and Dudu Fabakari was, and he didn't realize that the mics were on, and he explained his frustration about calling APRC members to a meeting and they are not coming, and he had said, I think we are going to continue. We are going to suspend our meetings. We are not going to have any more meetings now, because when you call people, they don't come. When you call people, they don't come. Until somebody reminded him that the mics could be on.
Was he referring to APR's members or the press?
Well, the press was there. He certainly was not going to be.
Everything was set up. All the mics were set up, and it was more than 5 as I counted.
Who are the people he said are not coming?
It has to be the APRC people.
I think it is.
Because he didn't say when we call people for press conference. He said when we call people for meetings.
I don't come.
Like, who would you call for meetings if not APRC members?
So what do you make of that? Somebody was, the mics were on. You eavesdrop on that conversation.
Yeah.
It's like Obama and David Cameron saying, I can't look at this guy in the face, he's a liar.
Yeah, I think that suggests that perhaps
it happens.
APRC
The Netanyahu thing.
Have realized that they might be
these things happen.
They might be fighting a loose battle, and the frustration is building up, don't you think?
Well, what did he tell you? Well, it's just, he was just addressing an internal issue, and it came out
unintentionally, unintentionally. Well, I don't know whether that was even the media had no control over it. Of course, we should have explained to them that we were alive. I only did that after they started the conversation. I hastily said,
they have
anything you said there, it's going to be fixed.
Shouldn't they have expected that when they see cameras and other things being set up?
Yeah, but they were in no yes, but I mean, they can be forgiven for their ignorance. They are not journalists.
No, well, they don't know. You call journalists and you see them setting up, you start knowing what to say.
Yeah, but the tradition is in a lot of cases we record.
Yeah. Well, it happens.
And when we record, in a lot of cases we edit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so this one came live, or it was?
It was live.
That was this live
stream. It was live, yeah.
Oh,
so there was no way you could have.
Because many of the media houses that were present were online media.
Online. Party Network live streaming, Kerfatu live streaming, Gambia Talent Operation, Gambia Talent Promotion live streaming, even APRC were live streaming.
I think that was something that social media.
It happens. The media had no control over it. Of course, a lot of people blame the journalists. So and they said, well, the media is unprofessional.
Must anybody take that, or critics of the APRC, should they take that to mean that there is a big crisis?
Well, someone commented, in fact, at a WhatsApp group where I am, and I said, you very ill-informed. This was not deliberate on the part of the media. Of course, APRC members should have been informed that they were live.
But you see, when in this age now, you know, they should be familiar with media gadgets. When you call people and you are in the room, you are seated, and you've seen them setting up things, you know, from this very moment, some start filming even before they enter the hall. Yeah. So you should know.
Another question.
I think it's bad. Is
that a platform to discuss something so intense?
No, it was.
I mean, I think it just came out.
I know that it was a reaction. It was a reaction of a frustration at that material time.
Unintentionally came public. But if he knew, the mics were on, he wouldn't say that that place. He would wait later.
I think his frustration also built out of the fact that APRC have always presented this image of having the biggest crowd. Even before this, the rally that they had in Brikama, they always have to showcase themselves as having the biggest crowd.
But we've had elections, so
I've always said that's not been translated into votes.
But we have elections. We've had elections, so we know which parties are biggest and which parties.
But it was a propaganda tool they used to.
There was 50,000 rally, etc. I've always said. These things have not translated into votes, but the argument have always been that, well, they are recouping after they defeated the polls.
Also, so many other events have preceded this. The previous audios that came out were calling APRC members to go and show support, as they call it, so solidarity with Yankuba at the High Court. And they didn't have the numbers they wanted from them.
I see.
And this
but I don't know, right? That the UDP people stage, I mean, daily, what would I call? They besiege the place, lay siege at the High Court on daily basis. When that one others were on trial.
Absolutely. So it was a disaster.
That was a circus.
So it looks
at
like
that time.
It looks like there's a crisis.
So they have every reason to go and.
It was exciting though. I mean, covering that as a journalist.
No matter our feelings about, because you know what, that people are reactionary because of how they perceive things to be. All right, they may see that one others as, you know, freedom fighters at the time, and they see Yankuba as a criminal. So that's the difference. That's where public support for their cause, you know, will be different from that of Dabo and others.
Absolutely.
So that's where. So there we go.
Yeah, I think it's bad because it shows the frustration from inside.
It shows that they are weak.
Bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's
shows
bad.
that there is a crisis.
So there's too much.
They can still recover from it, but I think it's bad.
So a lot of work for Bakari Tombo and his APRC people, I guess.
Tombong is not your.
Another thing, on social media, people are saying that perhaps President Jammeh is going to fire Fabakar after this.
Why? Just because of this gap?
But if he fires Fabakar, who is going to replace Fabakar?
Well, there had been a problem like that. You may remember when Mba wanted to stage a coup, supposedly, allegedly. Jammeh had to stood his ground and said, look, it's going to...
but right now, truth be told...
Who is there?
Truth be told, let's be clear on this one. Fabakar is not... I disagree with Fabakar on a host of things.
But you mean he's the only...
But Fabakar has been in politics for a very long time. He has garnered a lot of experience.
Right down to the end.
That is just parliament. But even before that, he was in politics.
Yes, he said so.
Now, so APRC does not have anyone currently, now.
That's what we've said about the party.
Who can
feel in his shoes?
Who can match Fabakar in how he deals with the party, how he manages things and stuff. Right now, they don't have that.
Why? What about
Amul doesn't have
What
this.
about Rambo?
Rambo is your normal ping pong politician. No, like the type of, the brave guys. Not necessarily a politician. Rambo Munyancholdi, not a politician.
He doesn't have either the patience or the...
Look, he has never been one. He has been that. How was Rambo famous in politics?
I was with the UDP.
And how was he with the UDP?
He was
He was the tough guy, the outspoken tough guy. Not necessarily.
So he's not suitable for leadership.
Not necessarily a very eloquent man.
Or not comparable to
No.
He doesn't have the temper.
Fabakar has the eloquence. He's smart.
Also, there's this perception that Jammeh really never wanted to portray the party as, in these days, people are seeing parties in tribal lines, etc. etc. Jammeh didn't want the party to be seen in the light of Jola party. I mean, Fabakar is Mandinka. So for both that reason, and of course his maturity and leadership, Jammeh thought he's the right person for the party. I mean, his presence will send a good signal, assuring to the people that, look, we're not tribalists. If we are purely Jola party, Fabakar is a Mandinka from Nyomi. So all those things make him perhaps the more suitable.
Well, that may be the rationale, but there is no other option also. Except if Jammeh himself comes back from
Equatorial Guinea. Even without those considerations,
right now, in APRC's leadership, I'm talking about the executive.
Amul can be progressive.
No. Amul is progressive. But Amul is not the standards.
Grassroots connections.
Not just that, but he's not of the same standard with Fabakar in terms of experience, in terms of eloquence, in terms of understanding of issues, in terms of history of our politics, and all that, so those factors, they are important.
Fabakar is indispensable to that.
Yeah, Fabakar right now, it's,
that's the problem, though.
Yeah, so, and then if Jammeh gets rid of Fabakar right now,
that's probably the end of the party.
I mean, it's gonna be very difficult because you need the center to hold. As much as we often say, oh, parties should not be, it's not about being one individual.
My concern is
who can hold them together.
Based on the audio that came out, do you think that in the long term, Fabakar will want to continue to represent APRC?
Well, he had always said he is waiting for a time when a permanent leader would be elected. But apparently, it's been taking a long time now. He must have now graduated from interim to full leadership. So if there is election tomorrow, who will be? Fabakar, of course.
I mean, clearly.
Fabakar.
Clearly. I mean, sometimes we can...
But he had always said he was holding the fort because nobody's there and he had to do it. So we should perhaps give him credit and due respect that he apparently, of all the people who probably may not be qualified for one reason or the other, he is still APRC, even if there might be opportunities for him elsewhere, he's still stuck to his ground and he will not betray the party.
Yeah, but there are others. There are others.
Singate was very prominent, has gone
but there are others behind him. The likes
if Fabakar had wanted to go to UDP, they would be welcome.
But the likes of Abla Hussein, of course, we know he's not a very smart man. Not that I disagree with him often.
You want to tell me he's gone?
But the likes of Nyang, no, Abla Hussein is there.
Yeah, that's right.
The likes of Mr. Nyang, the other National Assembly member, not that he's also very smart, he's not smart at all, but he is there. I mean, others, Amul is there, Bakso is there. I mean, so you still have some people who believe in the party and they stick to it.
But
you have some who will leave. Naturally, those people.
What resources do these individuals that you've mentioned have that anyone will want to welcome them in their party?
But anyone will welcome them. If they want to go because...
actively going after them like they would want, because Fabakar has the resources.
Where's the resources? He doesn't have money.
In the head.
No, I'm not
I mean, he has the political and experience.
Political resources.
Those others, with the exception of Amul, Dudu Jah is also, he's measured and he's a young man, but he's measured and he's intelligent. Amul is also measured, he's intelligent. He can sometimes, well, politicians are politicians, but they have some good people. Lamin Tamban also, you know.
Lamin Tamba, what was last time?
The chore guy, your friend.
The whole argument is people who think that if the party goes through some rebranding, probably it will stand a better chance of getting people to support them again. I mean, people not see them through the light of Jammeh. And they have to admit that Jammeh, a lot of people disagree. People in the Gambia disagree among themselves when it comes to politics. But a lot of them agree that Jammeh's style was not good. So that's where the problem is. They must realize that too. Look, Jammeh definitely did a lot of things, but it is impossible for us to salvage his image now. The only way we can do is to put him aside and get the party to run on a firmer and fresh note and structure. Then perhaps the party will definitely remain relevant and attract people who normally wouldn't have agreed with them because of Jammeh's legacy. Sure. But then of course they said Jammeh's legacy is the best. So who are we to tell them what to do? But that's all for today. This is the brunch on Kerfatu. This is Lamin Cham. I'm thanking my fellow panelists, Yima Kamara of the University of the Gambia, and Mustafa Dabo of Kerfatu, and Vice President of the Gambia Press Union.
Absolutely.
Until we come back here again next week, goodbye.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him. Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions? Yes. But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo?
What is Baluwo? Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate. Tell me how Baluwo works. It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
noo lañ def ñoo ñëw ak yéen rek skincare plus nara jàkkaarloo ak yéen waxtaan ak yéen tuuti rek si suñu tube suñu baax emuñ rek ci ay diw waaye comme ni ngeen ko xamee rek dañoo yëngu ci ay tube te yënguwuñ nag si just any tube suñ tube bu nekk 5 star jas na la 5 star jas na mooy jas na bi gën a pire moom la ñoo tube palmaan bi gën a fort moom la ñoo liggéeyee buñ demee Bamako ñun duñ dem ci marché bi rek buub indi déedéet dañ leen a jox suñu specs ne lañ nii lañ ko buggee nay lañ ko buggee fóot bi nangami fóot lañ bugga pour mu mun a set waaw cuubi skincare déedéet doo ko sol mu di la taxa all over the place ci gàttal ñun rek si cuub dara du doy day des not only dañoo cuub but bu la neexee ñu cuubal la ba pare nag ñawal la ñaw fi mu gën a setee nag rek la ñoo fëlee ñetti ñawkat lañ am nañ ñawkati simple nga xam ne xoppati rek mbaa def sa taille basse def sa dagit def sa roba amul benn dawme am nañ koo xam ne moo ñoo dawme jigéen den am nañ tamit special ñawkat boo xam ne ñawi góor rek la ñoo defal nga bugg sa his and hers muy korité muy tobaski mbaa muy ngénte muy takka mbaa nga bugg rek def sa yëkka bu baax a baax daagul ba ñëw skincare plus ñu dimbali la tànnal la cuub fam gën a baaxee ndax sa yëkka gën a foor lii nga ne lan xoolal bi takka la skincare fii la fu léegi yéen tey we not all about skin we are skin care, and the plus. And the plus does come in so many different ways. Cubantu winde, dan cubam sap-sap.